morning, guys. It's September 22nd, 2020. This one here I got a call for air in the heating system lines, the boiler in the radiator. So she might have to go there and purge the zone. She's complaining about hearing water running through her radiators, and I think I've worked for her before. She sounds familiar, this lady, over the phone. So that's what she's complaining about. So we'll go over there and we'll give it the old purge treatment, purge the zones. And usually every couple of years you got to go there and purge them out. It's not a bad practice to do that. Sometimes the feeder gets stuck and, you know, water's leaking out the relief valve, and we'll see when we get there. We'll take one step at a time, but that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. She's complaining about air in the heating lines. She probably just turned on the heat. Sometimes these people, like, they don't, when you first start up a zone, sometimes they'll make a little bit of noise. The water's got to come up to speed, and then it should quiet down. Especially if it's got zone valves. But we'll see when we get there. We'll give it the once over and see if we can hear what she's talking about, and purge the zones and see if it's any better. Try to get you some shots. Alright, we'll see what we got here. The Burnham boiler. It's got three. Well, it's got two zones. Let's see if the feed is stuck. No, the feed is not stuck. So what we're going to do is we're going to purge these zones out. It's a split loop here. One's a split loop on the first floor. The second floor must be a shotgun. We'll shut it down. We'll put our hose on here and purge it. See if there's any air. It might not be air. It might just be normal heating noise. But we'll try it. Alright, so I got my hose ran over down into a pit over there to drain it. So we got the boiler off, so it's not gonna run. We got zone valves here. We gotta manually bypass it, open the valve, because if not, you won't get a water flow through it. So we're gonna open both, pull the levers down on these two. That's a 1 inch, so that's a split loop on the first floor. We got all the returns off, and we'll purge one at a time. We'll open this one. Once that's open, we could open this. It don't seem like there's any water coming in. There's a problem with the feeder. Sometimes you gotta take the nut off to give enough throw. See if there's a pin in there. See the pin? Sometimes you gotta take this nut off to give it enough throw. Sometimes, unless it's blocked, it's possible that it's blocked. And then this goes on there. Don't seem like the feeder's any good. Might have a problem with the feeder. Got the valve open here. Could be blocked. Yeah, that feeder, something's up with the feeder. Something's going on with the feeder. The feed is not working properly. I might have to change that. That's an old one. See, there's an old nut. We're gonna have to find out what's going on with that, because it's not working. So something's wrong. Maybe I can take it apart and see what's going on with it. Might be full of schmag. Well, a lot of sediment in there. You wonder why it's not giving any, why it's not feeding? Look at that shit. Wow. Yeehaw. It should work better now. That's electrolysis. That's what they call electrolysis. Let's try it now. Put it back together. Yeah, it's feeding now. See, before it wasn't feeding. You couldn't hear it going through. That's probably what the problem was. The feeder was blocked. Let's see what we got for flow now. Oh yeah, a lot better. Can you guys see that? Can you see the flow now? I mean, it's a lot better. That's what we want. We'll be able to purge it now. Give it to you. How you doing, Mama? Yeah, so I got both zone valves bypassed so we could purge it. So it's going in the supply up through the house, back. It can't go back, can't go in the return because these are off and it's going out the hose. So I'm going to do all three. Usually you can put your hand right here and you could tell if you're getting a good flow or not. So before you shut this off and move it, you have to flip this down. Right? Open this one up. She's a leaker. She's a leaker. Once this is open, then we could flip the bypass and give it full pressure. This is a reducing valve that reduces down to 12 to 15 pounds for the boiler, so only can, because the relief set at 30. So by opening that, you're bypassing this feeder to give street pressure as long as the hose is open to give it a good purge. That's the idea of that. So once this is open and you're purging, then you could give it the full Gundy. And before you shut this off to move the hose, you have to put it back to regulate to reduce the pressure down. The feeder wasn't stuck, it was just blocked from electrolysis. That's kind of crazy, huh? Seeing all that white shit in there. Cholesterol buildup. Doesn't feel like this one has any air in this one. This one here we did was the second floor. I believe that's the second floor going up. So let's do this one next. Put this back down. Shut this off. And we'll relocate the hose to here. If this drips, I can put caps on there if I have to. I got caps in the truck. I have to. Usually you could tell if there's air in it just by holding on to it. I haven't felt a lot of crazy air in the system yet, so I don't know. It might be normal heat noise that she's hearing. I'm not sure yet. I'm definitely getting a good flow. And I don't hear any bubbling. I don't hear any bubbling action going on. So I know it's... Can you see? It's kind of dark down here. We're getting a good flow. It's going right across the whole thing. It might be just normal heat noise. Open these ball valves back up. We'll put the nut back on this thing. Sometimes you have to take the nut off to give enough throw for this thing to work, but that wasn't the case here. Let's put this nut back on. I have replaced this on, see, 11-4-15. I have replaced that feeder. And I just changed the feeder. I didn't change the 9D. It must have still been good. Saving them a couple of bucks. Just change what needs to be changed. This goes back on here. We'll reinstate the zone heads. And we should be good to go. That's not dripping. That's good. We'll reinstate the zone heads, and that's purged. Just pick up my tools and I could run it and see what happens, but I don't think anything leaking. Alright, turn it back on. We should be good to go. See, last time I was here, I put a new relief valve in, new expansion tank, new water feeder, boiler drain, and purge zones. That was 5 years ago. Wow. Today I purged 3 zones, cleaned out backflow preventer for water flow. It was 5 years ago. Only time goes by when you're having fun, mama. V-vent up through. A little dark and dingy down here, but all 3 ball valves are back reinstated. I got no leaks. I reinstated both zone heads. One's a split loop. That one's a split loop for the first floor, and that one's a shotgun. This feed is not leaking. That was dirty. Should be good now. My bucket and 2 hoses.
Can I turn the heat downstairs on?
But you definitely had a blockage there, so it should be better. But you know, when you run the heat, when you first turn it on, the water's still. It's got to come up to speed, so you will hear that moving.
That is normal. This is really loud. It's after the heat shuts off. It's almost like you hear swish, swish, swish.
Well, it should be a lot better now because why don't you turn it on and we'll check it. Now, when you first turn it on, it takes a minute and a half to come on because it's got the zone valves. But I want to hear it.
Okay, and then I'm going to go downstairs, because sometimes upstairs...
What's worse, upstairs or downstairs?
It's weird, because when I put it on upstairs, I don't hear nothing. But then when I go put the heat on downstairs, I start hearing it up here. So like you said, there's a split. I'm wondering if something's coming back up here. Water's coming up backwards.
Well, I purged all three of those purge stations have been well purged. So there's no more air in the system. There was probably air in the system because the water feeder wasn't feeding any water into the system.
I see.
But now that I cleaned it and I got the flow going, it should be better.
Okay.
But when you turn the heat on, it takes a minute and a half for that zone valve to open before you fire.
Yeah.
And
but the first time I turned it on was Monday. It was so cold.
yeah, it's definitely heating up. You haven't heard no noise?
Not yet. Sometimes it's when the heat shuts off.
Well, like I said, there was probably a lot of air in the system, so it's been 5 years.
It's usually